Good day, everybody. This is one of the trickish problems of vectors arrangement. There are four forces acting at this object. Looking at the situations, this and this are in opposite direction, or this and this are also in opposite direction. So we are asked to find the resultant of this vector in magnitude and direction. So it's a little bit simple, especially when we consider the vectors individually. We can name them to be like F1. This is a force, that is F1. Maybe this is F2. This should be F3, and this should be F4. You can name them the way you want. I didn't say this must be the F1. This must be the F2. You can start with this by saying F1, F3. Now, to find the resultant here, we can firstly simply write solution. Now that is number one, the first thing first. Then we can start treating F1 and F2. F1 and F2 are opposites. Cool. Then they have their resultant as R1 equals to the F1, F2, it's gonna be what? F2 minus F1. Because when two vectors move in opposite direction, their resultant will be negative. That is F1, F minus F, or F2 minus F1, depending on which one is the largest vector. So this is equals to 6 minus 5 and equals to 1 Newton. Now this 1 Newton now is towards the east, it's toward the west direction, the resultant. Now F2 goes this way, then F1 goes the other way. So this arrows shows the directions of the forces of the vectors. Since this is the largest vector, then the resultant will go towards the largest vector. That's why the sign in the arrow of R and the arrow of F2 are facing the same direction. So this is Newton goes towards here. Alright, now we finish with the F1 and F2, then we'll now move to F3 and F4. Then now see F3 and F4 are also opposite to each other. Since they are opposite, we can still find their resultant as R2. Now, which one is bigger? Therefore, F4 is larger, and it's going to be upward. The resultant will be upward, and this is equals to F4, going upward, minus F3 going downward. Now, the resultant here, you see, the arrow of the resultant is facing upward, the F4 is facing upward. Why? Because this is the large one, so the resultant will go towards the large one. Like this one, it's going to be here. This is the resultant for the first one, which is 1 Newton, while this one will go here, which is also, depending on what we have here, that is F4, remember, is F4 is 4, yes, minus F3 is 1, is 3, yeah, which is 3. And this is equals to 1 Newton again. So this is the resultant, which is also 1 Newton. This is 1 Newton again. So what we should do is to firstly, the arrow here goes upward, remember, for the R2. Now, since they are like this, we are to redraw, we are to sketch the arrangement of the vectors. Let's see, this is the object, this is the object, for example, this is the object. Now, the resultant will go this way, this is, and this is another resultant, So now, this one, this is R2, which is 1 Newton, equals to 1 Newton, and this is, remember, R1 equals to 1 Newton again. Now, this is our resultant now. The resultant, the total resultant vector, since the two resultants move perpendicular to one another, so we are going to have our resultant as this, and this is, right angle triangle. We are to use Pythagoras theorem and get the resultant. How do we do it? We are to see, R square equals to R1 or R2 square plus R1 square. This is equals to my R2 is 1, so we have 1 square plus my R1 is still 1, which is just 1 square. Now R square will be equals to 1 plus 1, or 1 square is 1 plus 1 square is still 1. Therefore, r square equals to 1 plus 1 is 2. We have to cancel the square by sharing square root of both sides. Therefore, this goes with this. Then R will be equals to root of 2 is 1.141 Newton. So this is the resultant of the vector. I want you to know that the resultant is always greater than the individual vectors. If the resultant is not greater than the individual vectors, in this case now, the answer is not correct. So the first resultant is 1 Newton, the second one is 1 Newton, but the resultant of these two became 1.1, which is greater than this and this. But the resultant must be less than the sum of the two vectors, meaning when you say 1 plus 1 is 2, so the resultant of this must be less than the sum of this and this. So our answer is correctly stated. Now, what next for you, the audience, is to help me find the direction. Find the direction of the resultant. Find the direction of the resultant. So this is my question for the you audience. And I really expect these answers in my comment section. Now remember, this angle is what gives the direction of the resultant. So I want you to find the value of the angle, then you write the resultant in both magnitude and direction. Thank you and have a nice day until we meet in the next episode of the tutorials, and have a nice time.